Hello and welcome back to another video, and as you can see yet again we're indoors this time filming this because it is just so hot outside. So I hope you guys are all keeping safe, and when this video does come out we're gonna have one of the hottest days of the year I think this country has ever had. So do let me know what you're doing to keep your classrooms nice and cool. I'm really not sure how we're going to do it in school, but we're just going to do our best to stay cool, stay calm, and hopefully have a nice day still over Monday and Tuesday this week coming. But for now, we're going to talk about September. We're coming to the end of the school year, which is a time to kind of celebrate, and it's a time to look forward to the new challenges that we've got coming up. And we're going to look forward to September and start thinking about, over the summer holidays, what type of things can you do to get ready for September? Because it's something that I'm not trying to start too much yet, but there's some things you have to do now. And that's actually the first one. The first thing you have to do to get ready for September is make sure your classroom's organised. And for some people, that's something they can do over the summer because their schools are open. And so you can go into class on certain days or certain weeks and make sure you get everything organised before September comes around. But for some people, their schools might be shut over the summer holidays. So it's about how do you sort it for those individuals that need to get it done. So it's something to make sure that you try and do in July as the term ends. Around this time of year, make sure you get everything sorted in your classroom. Everything's nice and neat, put away in the right places, organised, ready for September. So make sure that you're getting that classroom ready. If you're starting a new school and you can't really get into it just yet, then make sure you set aside time before the term starts to get that classroom organised, to get things put in the right place, to get all the equipment ready, to get the books sorted. I have done a video recently about the types of things I do to sort out my classroom ready before September, and so I'll try and link that up there in the corner, so do go over watch that one as well if you think it's something you want some ideas about what types of things you can do. But as always, there'll be things I've forgotten, so do ask around and see what other people can say. So once you've got your classroom ready, then it's time to enjoy your summer holidays. And that's actually the second thing, and it's probably the most important thing that you can do to get ready for September. And that's just to go and enjoy yourself, go and relax, go and take your 6 weeks off and go and do some stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to do. Go and enjoy the amazing weather we've got. Go and see the beach, see some family, see some friends. Go outside and make sure you're having a lot of fun over summer, because going into the kind of Christmas term, the autumn term, it's so crazy, it's so mental, there's so much to do. It's always the busiest term of the year. And it is one of the hardest ones you'll do, especially if you're going into a job for the first time. So I always say to people when they say kind of what can I do over summer, how can I get prepared, is actually, you know what, go and enjoy yourself, go and relax, go and do some stuff that you really can't necessarily do while you're at school. Because you'll regret it if you don't. If you get to September and you feel like you've not had enough time to relax, then there will be some regrets there that you'll think, actually, I wish I'd have gone and done that. I wish I'd have gone and enjoyed the sun a bit more. So go outside, make sure you're enjoying yourself throughout the whole summer holidays. Don't just think, oh, I've got to spend a week or 2 weeks sat inside working, because normally that kind of thing, you can get that done in either a quicker time, you can get it done when you're back at school in September. There's other times to do it. Don't spend too much time doing some work. There's always some bits you can do, and we'll talk about them in a minute, but make sure you get them done in the time that's right for you, in a time where you're ready to do the work. Don't force yourself to miss some good stuff because you think, oh, I should be sat inside doing my work. Go outside and enjoy yourselves. One of the things you can do while the summer holidays are on in terms of doing a bit of work, get ready for September, is to make sure that you've done your planning. Make sure that you're all planned, all sorted for at least the first few weeks back, but also for the first term and for the first year. And that's all different types of planning that you need to get your head around. So to start off with, talking about short-term planning, your short-term planning is mainly just the planning slides that you're going to use to teach your actual lessons on. Sometimes schools have certain formats of things you have to do for short-term planning as well, but I think most schools now are moving towards just saying, actually, you know what, we trust the teachers to just show us their slides of what they're going to teach, and that can be their planning. That's where all your work is on. That shows what you want to teach in that lesson. So make sure you've got that sorted for at least the first couple of weeks, and that you know kind of each day what lessons you're going to teach in those days, what you're going to teach in those lessons, how you're going to teach them, where the work comes from, what schemes you might follow. If you don't follow the schemes, how you're planning out your work to make sure you're covering everything that you need to cover across the year. But make sure each lesson is ready for the first couple of weeks and you know what you're going to be doing, because there's nothing worse than turning up in September and teaching for a couple of days and suddenly realize you're already missing out work, you already feel like you're playing catch up, you're already having to chase your tail a little bit and make sure that you're getting stuff sorted for the next week, where actually you should be a little bit in advance at this point because you've got the time to do it. So pick out a couple of days during the summer where you think, you know what, I'm not doing anything that day, the weather's going to be a bit rubbish, I'm just going to have a day where I can sit indoors, get some work done and get some planning sorted so you can make all your lessons ready. Part of that planning process, and part of especially the process of picking what lessons you're teaching and when, is to do some medium-term planning as well. So that's your planning over the entire term and to think about how you're fitting in everything you need to fit in. You can also therefore do your long-term planning too, and that's your planning for the entire year. So when you look at long-term planning, you look at your year and you say, right, In maths, I've got 17 different units to cover, for example. How am I going to fit those 17 in? You might do a few more in the first term because it's normally a bit longer, a few less in the middle term, and then a few in the third term. And you can put those units into terms so you know when you're going to cover each unit. Your medium term planning then looks at each term in detail, says, right, in the autumn term, let's say I've got 8 units of maths to cover in that term. I've got 16 weeks to do it in, so I'm going to do 1 unit every 2 weeks. Over those 2 weeks, I'm going to make sure I cover that in the right time. And you can also then look into when you've got things like trips, when you've got days out, that kind of thing, when you might have an inset day, and you can make sure you're fitting everything in around all that. It's one of the things that I found hardest when I first started teaching, to make sure I was planning everything and that I was fitting everything in. And it just seemed like an absolutely massive jigsaw that I just couldn't find all the pieces for, and I couldn't fit them all together. But I found it easier as I moved on through my career to start looking at one subject at a time. And right now I've got a blank page. I'll start by doing maths. I'll put all the maths ones in. Then I'll put all the English ones in. Then I'll put all the science ones in, and so on. And by doing it one subject at a time and making sure I was prioritizing the subjects I needed to, that meant it was a lot easier to fit everything in. And sometimes you have to jiggle things around a little bit. Sometimes you have to work things out. Sometimes you might want to kind of batch teach some lessons in a way and say, right, I've got this much science to fit in. Rather than doing one lesson a week, I might just do 1 week where the whole afternoon is all about science every single day, and we get all that science done in 1 week and kind of cover it as one big unit. And then we move on to some geography, then we might move on to some history. Sometimes that can be a useful thing to do if you can't fit everything in a week. And I know that's often the case with school when you've got so many different foundation subjects to teach in the afternoons, on top of things like PE, on top of things where you have other people coming in and doing stuff with your class, especially kind of as it gets a bit warmer in the summer term. That happens a lot. So yeah, I think batch teaching lessons can be really good, grouping them up into 1 week and just getting everything done there, and then moving on to the next unit. Once you've got your planning and your classroom sorted, then you're pretty much there and ready to start teaching in September. So you should be ready to go. The last thing you need to think about is something that can be really tricky depending on what your topics are, what your school's policies are, and generally how you want to play it with your class. But that's the thing about your trips. What trips have you got sorted for the year? What trips have you got with your topics? I'm at the minute trying to think of a school trip to do for the autumn term because our topic is going to be talking about ancient China, and I'm trying to have a look around in the local area and see what kind of trips I can do that link into that topic. It's looking like we might end up going to some sort of museum, but that's something I really want to sort out just before the term ends. And if not, I'll have to message some companies over the summer holidays and get some trips booked in during that time. And again, it's just a little bit of work I'll be doing during the summer. But it's then thinking about, with that trip, when do you want to do it? Are you going to use the trip as like a hook into your subject if it's a really exciting trip, to do it at the start of term in the first couple of weeks, really get them hooked into the topic, really excited about it, and then use that trip for further learning on when you're back in the classroom throughout the rest of the term? Could you use it as a bit of a reward at the end of the term and say, look, we're going to work really hard this term, but at the end we've got this really fun trip coming up where we're going to go and use all our knowledge to explore a bit more about this topic and look a bit into the detail of it? Is that something you want to do? Is it something you want to fit in the middle near half term where you know you're getting a bit tired, you know you've got half term coming up and you've got a nice trip maybe in the last week before half term? Now, lots and lots of schools have lots of different ideas about school trips. Some do trips every term, some do maybe 1 trip a year. Some schools think they have to be at the start of the term. Some schools think they should always be at the end of a term. Some schools do completely free choice. And so it's definitely something to ask your school and see how they want you to plan the trips. But definitely start thinking about some ideas for your trips. Where are they going to go? So once you've got your trip sorted, you've had a look in your local area to see where you want to go, make sure you get those booked in. And you might want to maybe over the summer have a little visit yourself to see what's going up. It's not something I've always done for all the trips I've been on, but it has been useful a couple of times to go and kind of take a look around, see what's there, see what kind of things we're going to be doing while we're on the trip. And the benefit of that is actually lots and lots of places, if you message them saying you're a teacher, they'll actually let you go in for free if there's an admission fee, if you're just going for like an educational visit to have a look around. But then you do get to go and kind of enjoy the experience as well. I know there's some places like Alton Towers I've heard about do that even. Obviously, I've not taken my class on the trip there, but lots and lots of places do. In York, there's that Viking Museum, Jorvik, they do that as well, where we've gone and kind of explored it, had a look around, got to ask some questions to the staff about what we'll be doing on a school trip there. My wife was taking her class in her first year of teaching, and so we went and had a look around, and it was really interesting. But also then she got to ask some good questions about what she was going to be doing with the class when they were all there later on in a few months' time. So once you've got your trip sorted, you've got your classroom sorted, you've got your planning sorted, you are pretty much ready to go. Now that's just then a time to go back and do what I was talking about earlier. Go outside, enjoy yourself, enjoy the summer holidays, make sure you take time to see people, make sure you take time to do things you want to do, and generally prepare yourself, because the autumn term in schools is always absolutely crazy. There's so much work to get done. You feel like you're starting again from having taught a class and got them to the point where they need to be by the end of the year. You then get a class right at the start of the year and you have to start the whole process over again. And it's always a really exciting time to get ready and have a new challenge, a new beginning with a new class, and them get to know you, you get to know them, and work out how it's going to work for that year. But it's also a very, very busy one. And so definitely I think the biggest advice I can give to anyone to talk about over the summer holidays is go outside, enjoy yourself, enjoy the sunshine, and generally just have a good time. As always, there's a new video on this channel on a Tuesday, a Friday, and a Sunday. So if you do have any questions, please let me know and I will go and get an ice cream, is what I'll do. I'm going to go and get an ice cream and I'll see you very soon.